Well, I think everyone interprets their backgrounds differently. I came from a very good background. My dad was wealthy. He's a very successful businessman. He provided me a very, very good education, private education, my whole life. And I think looking back at that, there's two ways you can look at that. You can either end up as like a rich kid that ends up, just kind of just working in the company or doing whatever and just kind of not really fulfilling their potential.
Coasting.
Yeah, just kind of coasting by life because you have that safety net and it never gives you that drive to really work hard. Or you can just have that you can have that drive to want to fulfill his legacy, if that makes sense, and kind of fill in the shoes that was given to you. And from a young age, I've always known that I want to be hyper successful. I want to be like my dad. If I want to be like my dad, I can't do the normal things that everyone else does. And that's how I looked at it. I wanted to be like my dad. And so from a young age, everything he told me, I took to heart. And when I was 13, he told me like, oh, I remember this story like it was yesterday. He told me that I wasn't cut out to be a businessman. And when I heard that, like my heart sank, because I wanted to be exactly like him. And my heart sank. And he said that my EQ, which was like my emotional intelligence, was just too low. I was too straightforward. I was more suitable for a kind of profession like a doctor, where it was just do this, follow this procedure, and then do this, get paid good money, and then go back. I didn't want that because I want to live my life like my dad. And so he told me my EQ was low. I remember that. The next day, 13-year-old me decided to buy a book about emotional intelligence, and I read that book for a week. In 1 week, I finished that book. And in 2 months, I started meditating at 13. And that was when I was just like, okay, he pointed out this weakness. I know I can change it. Let me just buy the books. Let me just buy the knowledge. Let me just read all the information and change myself. Because I knew I could change myself. And that's what I did. And within like 3-4 months, my dad asked me like, how did you change your character completely? And I just told him exactly what I did, and he was shocked. This 13-year-old kid just bought a book and just read this whole thing and changed his complete personality and his character type. And he told me more weaknesses, and I bought more books. And I learned how to speak to people. And I got out of my shell, and I started reading, books on how to win friends and influence people. I started reading sales books, mindset books. And I read these personal development books until I was like 17. I still read them now. And those shaped my characteristics that I have today. And I think like that specific instant where he kind of told me, hey, you're not cut out for this, like that completely made me want to prove him wrong because I knew I could, I knew I would. And me starting this whole thing at 16 was also a reason to prove him wrong. So it started as this business, as this online business to kind of prove to him that I can do it. But it ended up, making a lot more money than I expected, and now I'm still doing it. So yeah, that's actually why I started this whole online thing in the first place. It wasn't for fun. It wasn't to make money online. It was to prove my dad wrong.
I
It's
love that.
funny.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
No, and we'll go into proving wrong as well.
Yeah.
But I think one thing to pick out there is just like your ability to take on criticism
Yeah.
as a chance to improve.
Mm.
And rather than getting bitter, getting better,
Yeah.
right? And even there, circling to the proving people wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that was the motivating factor for you to get started, right?
Yeah.
With the IG theme pages and then later with the appointment setting and
Yeah.
then the closing. Do you think that's still your motivation?
I think to an extent, honestly, because, a lot of people still don't understand what I'm doing. Like, the online space is still, it doesn't have the greatest stigma around it, and I feel like, oh, maybe people think it's not a real business. And it's like, it really is, like, my goal is to make $1 million this year, and I'm going to hit that. I'm going to figure out a way to hit that. And I feel like there's always someone out there that has something to say. And there's always something you can do to prove them wrong. And it's like, why not? Why not just shut them up with the amount of success that you have? So I think my business has kind of developed past trying to prove people wrong. But at the same time, there's always that one voice out there that's like, oh, you're not doing this real thing. You're not actually doing it. But yeah, I think it has evolved. I think it has evolved. It's more of a passion now than it is like proving people wrong. Because when you see like the people, when you see like the clients change their lives because of the advice you gave them, it's like it's generally one of the best feelings in the world. I get more happy when my clients make money, you know, like compared to me making money. Like if my guy got a 10K sale compared to me getting a 10K sale, I'd be happier for my client, you know? And so I think now it went from like a trying to prove people wrong to like now it's a passion. Now I actually fully enjoy it. But at the same time, if someone has something to say, I'm always going to try and prove them wrong, you know?